The third item, which is the superintendent report, and we will welcome Brian Kingsley to make remarks to the board and the community.
Thank you, President Pedersen. Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be with all of you tonight. Happy new school year. Really excited to illuminate all of the incredible things that are happening across PSD to start the school year. So prior to my remarks, I'd like to actually show you an incredible video that the PSD communications team put together to highlight what's been happening around our schools and our district over the last few days. Not only is our communications team rock stars for putting something together like that, but I think you see firsthand that there was a lot of connection, a lot of joy, a lot of enthusiasm. And as I've had an opportunity to visit many of our schools over the first couple days of school, people genuinely missed each other and are truly enjoying being back in community with each other. And that's not by accident, that's by design. I want to thank all of the PSD staff members who have been working since last year to make sure that we were first day ready. Something that the community might not know, that our operations team has been working around the clock to not just feed 1.2 million additional meals this year with universal meal programs that has been approved at the state level, but we had 22 of our 54 schools were under construction over the course of the summer. And for all of those projects to be moving forward expeditiously to ensure that schools were ready, that classrooms were ready, and people were able to experience joy. I want to thank the operations team, and that's all of the various arms of the operations team. It's a pretty big division, as you know. I also want to thank, it's not just dedicated employees, it's people who are committed in these ranks to becoming lifelong learners. Not becoming, they are lifelong learners. And the entire district has participated in learning activities to make sure that we're not just creating readiness, but we're also sharpening iron. We're trying to figure out ways to be better educators, better leaders, better servants of our community. And so the commitment that I saw at Rocky Mountain High School and other places to really provide a first-class professional development experience for teachers, for principals, for paraprofessionals, it's just really very impressed on not just the delivery of those particular options, but how people were showing up and really truly engaging and wanting to better themselves as a person and as a professional. I have great news that center on this gratitude is our schools are taking learning and putting it into practice. We have many of our schools that are continuing to be recognized at a national level. I got a phone call yesterday morning from Ann Alfonso, the proud principal at Bethke Elementary School, to let me know that her school, Bethke, as a result of their hardworking teachers and dedicated staff, because of the time, energy, and commitment that they put together to meeting in professional learning communities, which are high-impact teams, to help move the work forward that's specific to what students need, not just what we think that we need to teach. They are now considered a model PLC work school across the country by Solution Tree. PSD, out of all of the schools that have received that designation nationwide, I want you to know the significance of this. There are only 553 schools across America that have received that designation, and 3 of them are in PSD. It's now not just Bethke, but it's also Zach Elementary School and Kennard Middle School. And I'm just so proud to be associated with people like our teachers, our school leaders who are dedicated to not just teaching, but learning about our kids' needs through professional learning communities. Those needs and those meeting times are incredibly important, and I'm grateful for seeing what that looks like at a high level. It's great that we have models, national models in our backyard. As you had an opportunity, all of you, to see the incredible video of what's been happening across our system, I firsthand, on the first day of school, joined Kristen and Rob and other people across the district in visiting 6 schools that day. Starting my day off at Lincoln Middle School, was a great treat. it showed to me the importance of the transition days for our sixth graders and our ninth graders. It was incredible whether you were walking off of or coming off of a bus or being dropped off by a parent or walking to school. You weren't just treated with a smile. All of the students there that I witnessed were actually treated by acknowledging who they were and what their strengths were. We missed you. How have you been doing on this? What has your summer been like? But calling people by first name on the first day is an aspiration that many schools try to set out to do, and I saw Lincoln Middle School actually accomplish that. I then had an opportunity to jump on Route 179 from Lincoln to Tavelli Elementary School, and riding with driver Eric, who not only prioritizes safety in his role as a bus driver each and every day, but how he maximized relationships with the students who were on his bus. I had an opportunity to get off at the various bus stops and talk to families, many of them who are PSD employees waiting for their children to go off to school. It was a treat and a joy to connect with people about the excitement around what this district offers when we reopen. So I'm just really grateful for that opportunity. Spent the day with Rob eating lunch at Linton Elementary School, speaking with second graders. And they had asked me point blank to please consider allowing us all to bring our puppies back to school. There's a lot of joy when we bring puppies. Many of them asked me to consider building pools on the roofs of Linton Elementary School to kind of offset some of the heat activities that I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. But we have a new principal there, James Garcia, and the school just went off without a hitch. And just to hear the creative juices and ideas of the students, it was nothing but a treat. And if you had an opportunity to see my Twitter feed today, we had a student that asked me when I walked into his second grade classroom with a suit, he not only asked me if I shopped at Macy's, he asked me if I had just come from church. I really got a kick out of that. And so he had an opportunity to wear my jacket for a little bit of the day and connect with him. But our kids are amazing, and so are our teachers and faculty and staff members. Spent some time at Wellington Middle School, High School, and saw great things happening there, and really excited about the new leadership up at the school with Troy Krotz taking over. There's a general sense of enthusiasm. That building is still as beautiful as it was the first day that it opened, and seeing it be maximized with even more students as we opened another grade level up there was a treat. And had an opportunity to go to Centennial High School. Saw their discovery program in action on the first day, which is a re-engagement exercise that takes 6 weeks for students that are on the margins, that they really, truly, in their hearts, are committed to finishing high school, but they have experienced a lack of success up to this point. And to see them go deep on a class around personal ownership and personal responsibility, and realizing that we have individual choices that are required of us in order to experience success. It's not just about the others who help us. To see how that was taught with compassion, yet conviction, was super, super inspiring. And then I had an opportunity to end my day with many people over at Weber Middle School, and I want to thank Brian Davis, who's in attendance here tonight, for his thoughtful leadership. That school just breeds community. If you want to see what instruction looks like on day one, visit Weber Middle School. And while I want to acknowledge the focus on instruction, there was also a focus on cultivating relationships, making sure that we don't skip over getting to know who people are. Now, I share all of those good things to recognize that we're also experiencing challenges. It's hot, y'all. Mother Nature is not my friend. And I want to just acknowledge that it's not hot just for our students, it's hot for our staff as well. And I'm really hopeful that cooler days are on the near horizon and will prevail to make sure that we have a more comfortable learning and work environment for all that is involved. We recognize as a system that temperatures in this area across the globe have increased over the last few years. And that means it's going to be hotter in our buildings and our classrooms, especially around the start of our school year. And I want to acknowledge that head on, knowing that there's probably some people that want to speak about this tonight. What you might not know, or maybe you do, is that 33 of our 54 school buildings in PSD currently do not have air conditioning. That is not going to be acceptable in the future. We are going to need to engage the community to identify thoughtful solutions around how we tackle that. And I'm really grateful that this board had solicited an outside entity, McKinstry, who has been here to talk a little bit about solar feasibility. We are in the near future going to talk about what it's going to take to actually provide robust air conditioning throughout our system. And I see that not just as offsetting the temperatures in the first couple of weeks of school, it opens up the opportunity for our buildings to be accessible year-round. And so I really want to educate the community that this is not about an investment in a couple of weeks that we just need to suck it up. This is about trying to figure out how we can be creative and innovative around our scheduling, around our extracurriculars, and create environments that are safe and also enjoyable. As you see that, that's not sustained in ways that we can't create an environment where it's cool. That said, our community has questions, and I understand that, understandably so, and how we're addressing the various temperatures that exist in PSD. And I want to acknowledge that on the front end, what measures that we are taking. And I also want to recognize that as I share these, people may say that's not enough. And I respect if you're on that side of this equation as well. I had an opportunity yesterday to visit Fort Collins High School in the afternoon and connect with teachers, students, and principals and visit various classrooms. And yes, I did have the courage to go on the second floor in the afternoon. And I will be honest that we have classrooms that while I was there persisted in the high 80s, 87, 86.8 degrees. It was uncomfortable. What I can tell you that I'm really proud about it is in an unfortunate situation, the professionalism that was exhibited by our employees to not pass that frustration on to our students and ensure their first couple of days of school were still met with joy, that were still met with enthusiasm around being immersed in instruction and learning. I thought some of our teachers had really creative ideas that may fall flat in the eyes of the community, but even like a rolling video of a blizzard on one screen where students were just trying to immerse themselves in the mindset of what it feels like to be cool, knowing that we need to endure this for a little bit of time. We have in the past thought and have actually executed on having early release days when there have been persistent heat in our community. That has not been the case yet, even though it probably feels that way. On the third day of school, we have not persisted and endured heat, but those people who are in those same classrooms know what that experience is each and every year. And I understand that creates a lot of frustration. But on the other side of that is having all of our students, 30,000 students, go home 2 hours early creates another impact in the community as well, which makes this situation feel like a lose-lose at times. There are many families that are dependent upon us to feed their children twice. Even though we are an academic institution, we also provide childcare opportunities for families to be able to work. And not everyone has the flexibility to be able to pivot on a dime in the event that we make hard decisions. And that's really tough to endure that, especially knowing that there are several of our schools that have air conditioning. So it's not equitable or equal in this particular space. I do want to acknowledge that families do have choice. And I want to be clear and careful in this space. Families, if you need to take your child out early, we want your children in school every day, all day, for the entire day. But if you have an individual situation where you feel it is in the best interests to excuse your child, we want you to know that that is allowable under our current policies. We want to make sure that we're trying to create environments where we keep people in school. I was really pleased that the schools that I went to, they had full classrooms. People are showing up day one and learning. But if I'm not, as a district, we as a district are not trying to take away parents' rights on being able to ensure that if they have to make a decision that's in the best interest of their children, they have the ability to do that. And I just want to remind our community of those particular choices. Our staff, we have made sure last year that we distributed fans to every single classroom. I know that's not sufficient. In a lot of our classrooms in our hallways, we do have functional fans, but we also had ordered swamp coolers, especially for many of our second story classrooms. So we're asking for staff to continue to make sure that those things are on, but that also creates other challenges too with noise and papers blowing around. And so it's not a perfect situation, but we're trying to make the best of a hard and difficult situation. Staff is continuing to be encouraged to pull their shades down on their windows when feasible and to move their classes. And I saw this at Fort Collins, where second story classrooms were moving to empty first story classrooms on the first level, as well as in outdoor shaded areas, which I thought was really creative and thoughtful. We encourage our staff and our children to continue to wear lightweight clothing, to ensure that we're bringing water bottles and staying hydrated throughout the course of the day, and that we're just checking in with each other to make sure that people are not feeling if they're not feeling well, that we have an opportunity to acknowledge that and take action to make sure that people continue to be and feel safe. We're also doing our very best as an operations staff to bring in, as you can tell, even though it's really hot during the day, it's cooler in the evenings. And so we're trying to be as intentional as possible about drawing cool air from 3 a.m. all the way to 8 a.m. from the air outside, bringing that inside to ensure that as we start the day, it's as comfortable as possible. But I have experienced firsthand in many of our schools that wears off in some schools more quickly than others. And it's just a very difficult situation that we're going to need to find a community-wide solution for. The last thing I want to share with you is about safety. The challenge of this situation is that it may be beneficial to keep our doors open and to continue to bring in air throughout the day. But as we all know, that also provides safety challenges and risks. And so I want to just acknowledge to the community that district-wide, our expectation is that all of our exterior doors at PSD remain closed and locked during school hours. And that's not because we don't want to bring in more air from the outside into the inside of the facility, but while we're also prioritizing heat mitigation, we're also prioritizing safety measures, which actually amplifies the complexity of this challenge. And I know my words fall flat for those who are actually dealing with this on a day-to-day basis, but we're doing everything that we can, and we're going to need to engage the community thoughtfully around how we do this work moving forward. You know, tonight is a night where we're going to focus on how do we continuously improve this system through the lens of our strategic plan and our district UIP. And what I'm proud about those particular plans, and you'll hear more really soon about this, is that it's focused on our core business. But as the public or any members of the community who are listening here tonight, please know that while we are focusing on improving our core business, what's happening behind those scenes is the development of a long-range plan that involves these particular things around sustainability, around HVAC, around how do we take the various pieces of equipment around our school system and make sure that it's up to date, modern, and working at a high level. We have a lot of creative approaches to do a lot with very little resource. And there's a shelf life on our ability to continue to persist in that type of environment. So we will continue to engage in those conversations so the community and this board are fully up to speed around what's possible in those particular areas. But I just want to reiterate, it will take community-wide support. It will take us to lead with our hearts and be incredibly empathetic. And we will have to make hard decisions in the near and far future to make sure that we're doing everything we can to maximize what's possible for this school year. But I am, as the superintendent, incredibly pleased on what I've seen so far. But I think it's important to acknowledge the challenges that exist as well. So thank you for allowing me to open up this evening. I really appreciate it.